Okay, we're on to chapter 14 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Holy Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God or the Song of the Lord. Chapter 14 is called Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, and it basically is all about the gunas, understanding the gunas, the three gunas that are related to the three stooges. No, just kidding. The three gunas are sattva, rajas, and tamas. And we will be, this is a short, well, actually, this is 27 verses. So it's not too short. Here we go. We're going to start with verse 1, shloka 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuya Pravakshami Jnanam Jnanam Uttamam Yajñatva Munaya Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gataha. The blessed Lord said, I will again declare to thee that supreme knowledge, the best of all knowledge, having known which all the sages have gone to supreme perfection after this life. So the Jnanam Uttamam, the supreme knowledge. I believe that the word ultimate comes from that word in Sanskrit, Uttamam, but I'm not exactly sure. The Munis, the sages, remember Mauna means silence. And so a sage is one who is in silence. That doesn't mean that they don't talk, but it just means their minds are silent. So that is the Muni. So the sages who have known the supreme knowledge, they go to that perfection after this life is over. Here we go. Verse 2, shloka 2, idam jnanam upashritya mama saddharmiyam agataha sargepi no pajayante pralaye na vyatanti cha. Those who, having taken refuge in this knowledge, have attained unity with me, are neither born at the time of creation nor disturbed at the time of dissolution. Which is another way of saying that they go beyond life and death. They go beyond samsara, and they have attained liberation. They are never they are not born, and they do not die, or they have attained immortality. Whatever that means exactly, but Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma Tasmin Garbham Dadami Aham Sambhavaha Sarva Bhutanam Tato Bhavati Bharata. My womb is the great Brahma. In it I place the germ. Thence, O Arjuna, is the birth of all beings. My womb is the great Brahma, Mahat Brahma. What that means exactly is unclear. The great Brahma obviously is the creator, right? The creator of all. The creator deity. But, and sometimes, obviously there's Brahman as well, which is really the absolute that does not create, so to speak. So Brahma is not Brahman. Brahma is the creator. Brahman is the absolute reality, beyond all names and forms, beyond even the gods, right? Brahma would be a god, and Brahman is God, you could say, with a capital G. But even that term, even that word is limiting, especially because we tend to think of God anthropomorphically, meaning we think of God with a body. And Krishna in the Gita is saying that there's a manifest form, meaning there's a form that you can relate to, and there's an unmanifest form of God. So that's Nirguna Brahman, and there's Saguna Brahman. There's the Brahman without form, or beyond the gunas, and there's the Brahman that does have form and is somehow related to the material nature. So anyway, Krishna here says, my yoni, his yoni is the female genitalia, but it also could mean womb. And there's another word for womb here, which is garbha. So my womb is the great Brahma. It seems to be saying that Krishna is both the male and the female here, because in it I place the germ. I impregnate that womb. I impregnate my own womb, is what it seems to be saying. Let's go on. Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavanti ya tasmam brahma mahad yonir aham bija pradaha pita. Whatever forms are produced, O Arjuna, in any womb whatsoever, the great Brahma is their womb, and I am the seed-giving father. So whatever forms are produced, O Arjuna, in any womb whatsoever, the great Brahma is their womb, and I am the seed-giving father. Now this seems to be making a distinction now between, because in the previous verse, Krishna's womb was Brahma, right? And now it seems to be saying that Brahma is the womb of all, and he is and Krishna is the one that impregnates that womb, that yoni. It's interesting that womb is used in term instead of like, because yoni really, as far as I'm aware, does not necessarily mean womb. It means, again, the female genitalia. So that's something I'd like to look into a little bit more, what that means. In any case, I think that the main idea is that the Krishna, the womb is Krishna's, and Krishna impregnates it. And, Krishna is the all. Krishna is everything. Verse 5, Shloka 5, Sattvam, Rajas Tama iti gunaha, Prakriti sambhavaha, Nibadnanti mahabaho, Dehe dehinam avyayam. These qualities, O Arjuna, born of nature, these three gunas, born of nature, Prakriti, born of Prakriti, bind fast in the body of the embodied, the indestructible. So this is not worded very well, but they bind the indestructible in the body. And these three qualities are sattva, rajas, and tamas. And the translation here is sattva is purity, rajas is passion, and tamas is inertia. And I think those are pretty good terms to, if you only had one word to put to each of these gunas, sattva would be purity, rajas would be passion, and tamas would be inertia. You could also say sattva is clarity, purity. Those are good, two good words. Rajas could be passion or activity, stimulation. Tamas, inertia, darkness, sloth, laziness, torpor. All those words could work for tamas. Let's go on. That verse we could definitely talk more about that verse, but verse 6, here we go, Shloka 6. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam Sukha sangena badnati jnana sangena chanaga. Of these, sattva, which is luminous and healthy due to its stainlessness, binds one by attachment to happiness and knowledge, O sinless one. So this is another name for Arjuna. Anaga is sinless one, the one without sin. So talking about sattva. Now sattva, another good term for sattva is luminous, right? Shining, there's a light that shines from sattva. Purity, clarity, luminosity. So sattva, which is luminous and healthy due to its stainlessness, binds one by attachment to happiness and knowledge. So even the point here, I think, important thing to keep in mind here, is that even though sattva is what we're seeking, as long as we're here in our body, or we think we are here in our body, we do want to seek this luminosity, this clarity, this purity, but that too is ultimately an attachment, because we are not our body, right? So we have to, again and again, we hear, and Krishna says, you have to transcend even sattva. You have to transcend all the gunas, not just, raga, rajas and tamas. Verse 7, Rajo ragatmakam viti trishna sangha samudbhavam tan nibadnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. Know, O Arjuna, that rajas is of the nature of passion, the source of thirst and attachment. It binds fast the embodied one by attachment to action. So now it's talking about rajas. Rajas is the nature of passion, the source of thirst and attachment. It binds fast the embodied one by attachment to action. Now, if you look at the world that we live in, it's largely driven by rajas, because that is the guna of activity, and especially in the West, great importance is put on what you do. And people ask, how are you doing? We also ask, how are you, right? How you be? But we don't, we tend to ask more like, how you doing? Not how you being. That would be good, even better than how are you. It's kind of overused. But how you being? So rajas is, we get attached to action. We get attached to doing things, and we, it's hard to not be obsessed about whatever we're doing. It's hard to not be attached. And we there's different levels of this. There's different levels of attachment that we may have. Obsession is one extreme. Let's just take, this is maybe not the best, but just being a workaholic. Like, you have to work. You have to keep working nonstop. Keep thinking. Keep doing. Keep plugging away. Keep. And you spend very little time on your spiritual life and your inner life. Now, obviously, work itself can be a spiritual practice, and it can be a very useful tool to help, on the way to the final goal. If you believe that the final goal is liberation. Not everyone does, but anyway, let's go on. Rajas, talking about Rajas, and now we're going to talk about tamas. Tamas tvajnanajam vidi mohanam sarvadehinam pramadalasya nidrabhistan nibadnati bharata. Bharata is another name for Arjuna, the son of Bharat. Bharata is also the term for India. Mother India is Bharat, or Bharat Mata, Mother India. But know you, tamas, to be born of ignorance, deluding all embodied beings. It binds fast, O Arjuna, through heedlessness, indolence, and sleep. So tamas is kind of like the lowest of the three, and everyone falls under its spell to some extent or another. Obviously, we some, you could say that some are more prone to lethargy and inertia than others, and this is all things that you can address within yourself, and we could talk about that. Krishna will talk about that too. But tamas is darkness, ignorance, sloth, lethargy, torpor, indolence, sleep. The word is nidra for sleep. Laziness, alasya. We all have that, right? To some extent or another. All right, we all have all these gunas. They're all part of everything. These gunas make up all of Prakriti, which is all of the material existence. According to this, at least, this is one model, one way of looking at it. But all material existence is based on these three qualities, made up of these three constituent modes of being, or constituent parts. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati raja karmani bharata gyanam avritya tu tama pramade sanjayatyuta. Sattva attaches to happiness, rajas to action, O Arjuna, while tamas, verily shrouding knowledge, attaches to heedlessness. So this is just a recapitulation, but it's also adding something new, which is that those who are sattvic, you can put the IC at the end to make it an adjective. So there's the sattvic person, the rajasic, it's tamasic, and those and obviously you don't want to label people, but people will tend to fall into one of these three groups if you look at it. So those who are more sattvic in nature, they are attached to happiness, which is not bad, but it's still an attachment. Rajas to action, again, the person that is go. Their identity is very tied up with what they do. And tamas is that individual who really is kind of in a state of not even able to do stuff, right? Not even able to get up and get things moving, which is where we've all been, right? Myself included, where we've been so hampered by let's say our ego, that we or our lack of self-worth, or lack of self-understanding, that we cannot we cannot do things. And it may also be ignorance on another level, like grief, like Arjuna is he's paralyzed by his grief, right? And we've all been there as well. And he cannot do things because he's in such a state of grief that he is not able to be his happy, joyful self that is loving life and creating and adding good things to the world to help others and to help himself. He's in a state of confusion, dejection, despair. This is at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. He's slowly getting out of it as the Gita goes along. But we're all Arjuna, right? Let's put that. Let's just say that again. That we're all Arjuna. We're all Krishna, and we're all Arjuna. Every man, every person. 10. Rajas tamash chabibuya sattvam bhavati bharata rajaha sattvam tamash chaiva tama sattvam rajas tata. Now, O Arjuna, sattva prevails, having overpowered rajas and tamas. Then rajas having overpowered sattva and tamas, and then tamas having overpowered sattva and rajas. Now, what does he mean by now? Does he really say now? I don't see a now here. Ataha is now in the Yoga Sutras. I don't see a now here. But Krishna is saying that at any given time, one of these prevails, right? Sattva would be overcoming rajas and tamas. Rajas would be overcoming sattva and tamas. Tamas would be overcoming sattva and rajas. So one of them prevails at any given time. 11. Sarva dvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyad vivridham sattvam idyuta. When the wisdom light shines through every gate of this body, then it may be known that sattva is predominant. I love that wisdom light. Let's see what that word is. Sarvadvareshu, all the gates, dehe in the body, dehe asmin. Prakasha is the illumination. Upajayate, the manifest illumination. Okay. So those who are in a state of wisdom, their sattva is predominating, right? They're in a state of steady wisdom, happiness, joy, clarity, purity. These are the sincere spiritual seekers. They don't have to be yogis per se, unless you define yogi as any spiritual aspirant. And I would say that you could do that, of course. Yogi could be any spiritual aspirant from any tradition. But when that person is in a steady place of wisdom and joy, contentment, etc., then sattva is predominating. Lobha pravritir arambha karmanam ashamaha spriha rajasyetani jayante vivrite bharatarshapha. Greed, activity, the undertaking of actions, restlessness, and longing, these arise when rajas is predominant, O Arjuna. Obviously, those who are attached to action, they tend to. Why are they attached to action? Right? There's some lower emotions driving the action. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so attached to the action and what they're doing, and making money or creating a thriving business can be an ego trip of sorts. Restlessness and longing, again, this is like attachment to action when we get attached, when we are attached to what we do, there is a sense of restlessness and longing because we always want something more. We're never satisfied with what we have, and that's kind of what's pushing us to do. It's never enough. When is enough enough? I think that's where you get to sattva, right? When sattva is like, you're not attached. You're like, okay, I did my best. I'm doing my best. Everyone else is doing what they know. I'm doing what I know. We're all here in the same boat. We're all dealing with the same shit. And if I lose my sense of humor about it, then I'm lost. Aprakasho pravritischa pramado moha eva cha tamasyetani jayante vivridhe kurunandana. Darkness, inertia, carelessness, and delusion. These arise when tamas is predominant, O Arjuna. Aprakasha. So there is prakash, which is illumination, and this is aprakasha, or aprakasha, which is nescience or lack of illumination, right? Darkness. Apravriti, inertia. Pramada, negligence. Moha, delusion. These all predominate when tamas is prevalent. 14. Tamas. Not doubting Thomas, but maybe that too. 14. Yada sattve pravridhe tu pralayam yati deha brit tadotama vidam lokan amalan pratipadyate. If the embodied one meets death when sattva is predominant, then they attain the spotless worlds of the knowers of the highest. So this is now going back to what Krishna was saying before, which is the last thought you have before you die. It's not the last thought that you have before you die. Like, the people talk about deathbed confessions, for example. It's like you have a change of heart at the very moment that you die. Now, I have a theory about this, which is that when people are on their deathbed, they actually do quite a lot of spiritual work in those final moments, because they're forced to. They have to they have to take stock of things, and they have to deal with things which they might not have ever dealt with before in their life, and they have to deal with the fact that they might not have accomplished everything that they wanted to do in life, and that suddenly they're going to die, and they may have regrets, and they may have unfinished business, and that would be the rajasic person, right? That tends to have all those things. Now, the sattvic person, though, they're more in a state again of like, I have done what I'm really not the doer here. The sattvic person knows, I'm not the doer anyway. I don't have any regrets because it all happened as it needed to, and my work was to learn to submit and surrender to the flow of life, and so I have to do that now too. When I'm dying, I have to just let go and trust that the journey will continue somehow, and I will be in a better place wherever I go next. Things will keep evolving for my greatest and highest good, always. That's sattva. If you die in that place of sattva. 15. Rajasi pralayam Gatva karma sangishu jayate tata pralinas tamasi mudha jonishu jayate. Meeting death in Rajas, he is born among those who are attached to action. And dying in tamas, he is born in the womb of the thoughtless. So this combines Rajas and Tamas in one shloka here. This tells you, Krishna's telling you, if you die in one of these modes, in one of these gunas, this is what's going to happen. So this is taking things a little deeper than from before, because you might have thought before, well, if you just have your mind set on the divine at the time of your death, then you're then that's where you're going to go, and that may be true to a certain extent, but this is suggesting that there's preparatory work that you do throughout your life, so that when you die, that you're in one of those states. You're in sattva as opposed to rajas or tamas. If you're in rajas, in a rajasic or tamasic state, then you will tend to, your birth will be along those lines. 16. Karmana sukritasyahu sattvikam nirmalam palam rajasas tu palam dukam agyanam tamasa palam. They say that the fruit, pala, I believe it's, it might be phala, but I believe it's pala, because that's how you would, you pronounce it according to Sanskrit, the rules of Sanskrit pronunciation, pala. But I've heard phala for ph, the f. I'm not sure if there's just two ways of saying it or not. But anyway, for example, there's Triphala, which is the Ayurvedic medicine. So they say that the fruit of good action is sattvic and pure. Indeed, the fruit of rajas is pain, and the fruit of tamas is ignorance. So, good action, meaning action that is done without desire for the results, not attached to not selfishly attached to the results. That would be sattvic. When you act in a rajasic way, attached to what you do, pain is involved, pain and suffering, and with tamas it's ignorance. You remain in darkness. 17. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso loba eva cha pramada mohao tamaso bhavato jnanam eva cha. From sattva arises knowledge, and greed from rajas. Heedlessness and delusion arise from tamas, and also ignorance. Tamas has three things: heedlessness, delusion, and ignorance. Rajas has greed, and from sattva comes knowledge, jnana, right? Jnana. Remember that jnana is the word know in English. It's directly related to the Sanskrit jnana, and you can see the development, like in Greek it's gnosis, G-N, right? Gnosis, and jnana in Sanskrit, and know, K-N-O-W. The K is silent, so it really should be now. Now you know. So from sattva comes knowledge, from rajas comes greed, from tamas, heedlessness, delusion, ignorance. 18. Urdvam gachanti sattvasta madhye tishtanti rajasaha jaganya guna vritista ado gachanti tamasaha. Those seated in sattva ascend, those of rajasic nature dwell in the middle, and those of tamasic nature abiding in the function of the lowest guna descend. Tamas takes you to hell. Rajas takes you into the world of action. Sattva takes you beyond the world of action. This is my little interpretation based on what Krishna has said before. Seems to be suggesting that tamas is like you're in hell. Rajas is, you're somewhere in the middle. You're not in hell, but you're definitely not in heaven. Sattva, you've attained heaven. You've attained to a place of clarity, light, joy, luminosity. 19. Nanyam gunebhya kartaram yada drashtanupashyati gunebhyascha param viti madbhavam so digachati. When the seer beholds no agent other than the gunas and knows that which is higher than them, he attains to my being. I'm going to go faster now because I'm a little concerned about my space here on my phone. When the seer beholds no agent other than the gunas and knows that which is higher than them, he attains to my being. So you go beyond the gunas, right? You go beyond, you understand the gunas, you understand the nature of the gunas, and you go beyond even the gunas. Gunan etan atitya trindehi deha samudbhavam janma mrityu jara duker vimukto mritam ashnute. The embodied one, having crossed beyond these three gunas from which the body is evolved, is freed from birth, death, decay, and pain, and attains immortality. So again, kind of a recapitulation. It goes beyond samsara, it goes beyond the world of the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. That person who has gone beyond the gunas, right? This crossed over the three gunas. Right? They've conquered death. 21. Arjuna uvacha ker linges trin gunan etan atito bhavati prabho kim achara katam chaitans trin gunan ativartate. Arjuna said, what are the marks of one who has transcended the three qualities, O Lord? What is their conduct, and how do they go beyond these three qualities? So again, Arjuna is asking a question which he kind of asked before. Like, he asked it in chapter 2, probably one other time too. Arjuna's like, what does that look like? What is a person that has attained that? What do they look like? Sri Bhagavan uvacha prakasham cha pravritin cha moham eva cha pandava na dveshti sampravritani na nivritani kankshati. The Blessed Lord said, when light, activity, and delusion are present, he does not hate them, nor does he long for them when they are absent. So the one who has gone beyond the gunas, they're not attached to the gunas in any way, right? They're not attached even to sattva. They're not attached to being light and pure and holy and clear, even, right? There's no attachment. You could say there's a complete letting go or surrender. 23. Udasina vad asino guneryo na vichalyate guna vartanta it yevam yo vastishtati nengate. He who seated like one unconcerned is not moved by the dualities, and who, knowing that the dualities are active, is self-centered and does not move. Self-centered in a good way, right? Centered in the self, right? They're not moved by the dualities. That person is in that place of equanimity. They're in that place of even-mindedness, samatvam, samadarshana, samabodha or buddhi, whatever it was. That person is in that sameness, the equal vision. They have the equal vision. Samaduka sukha svasta samaloshtashma kanchana tulya priya priyo dhiras tulya nindatma santushtihi. Who is the same in pleasure and pain, who dwells in the self, to whom a clod of earth, a stone, and gold are all alike, who is the same to the deer and the unfriendly, who is firm, and to whom censure and praise are one and the same. This is something Krishna already said, but he's, again, it bears repetition, obviously. That person is the same. The duality, they reside in the middle of the dualities. They don't get disturbed. Their mind does not get disturbed, no matter what. Even if they're praised, they don't get excited about that. If they're blamed, censured, that they don't get disturbed either by that. Mana pamanayos tulyas tulyo mitrari pakshayo sarva ramba parityagi gunatita sa uchyate. Who is the same in honor and dishonor, the same to friend and foe, abandoning all undertakings, he is said to have transcended the dualities. So that one who has gotten to that place, they've transcended. They've gone beyond. They've gone beyond the gunas. They've gone beyond all duality. Right? They are. They've risen above. They've risen above. 26. Mam cha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. And he who serves me with unwavering devotion, he, crossing beyond the dualities, is fit for becoming Brahman. Right? They become Brahman. Comes to the level of Brahman. Now, does it really mean that they become Brahman, or do they get to the level? Doesn't really matter. I mean, if you go beyond the dualities, you've reached the place of non-duality. Non-duality would mean there's no duality. There's no separation between you and anything else. You have become one with the whole, right? Or realized your oneness. The drop becomes the ocean, right? 27. Brahmanohi pratishtaham amritas yavyasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya yaikantikasya cha. A lot of asya chas there. For I am the abode of Brahman, the immortal, immutable, and everlasting Dharma and absolute bliss. Krishna is Brahman. This is very clear from this verse. Absolute bliss, unending happiness, sukha, unending happiness. All right, so let's just do a very quick recap of this Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Chapter 14 is all about the gunas. In Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, purity, Sattva, activity is Rajas, or passion is Rajas, and inertia is Tamas. And depending on where you are in any one of these at the time of death is where you're going to go when you die. And you want to be you actually want to be in Sattva, but also beyond Sattva even. You want to be, the true yogi goes beyond all three gunas, and in transcending all three gunas, they attain to the supreme reality, which is called Brahman is the supreme reality, but Krishna is Brahman. It's pretty clear from this. Let's end with a little song. Yoga yukto bhava. Yoga yukto bhava. Yoga yukto bhava. Yoga Yoga yukto bhava. Be you steadfast in yoga. It will deliver you from every roga. Don't slip into that boga. Be you steadfast in yoga. Yoga yukto bhava. Yoga yukto bhava. Arjuna. Yoga yukto bhava. Yoga yukto bhava. Okay, thank you for listening, and please feel free to leave a comment. This is actually a course that I've been doing. This is the bare bones of the course, which is reading through the Gita, and then there'll be other parts of the course. If you want to take the course, reach out, and we can get you started with it. Thank you so much, and see you soon. Chapter 15 coming next. Om.